Howdy, folks. What's going on? This is the Outlaw Hatfield back at you. Hey, look, guys. This is a new show for us. This is old school wrestling with the Sarge and the Outlaw. How you doing, Sarge?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much really. Just this show, and I've been kind of excited about this. Oh, I got a little back play going on. Hold on a minute. There we go. Hey, Scotsman, what's going on? Gay gunpowder.
It seems to be what I do. I leave my YouTube on sometimes.
Yeah, I do that. That way I can see who's out in the chat, and sometimes it catches up with me.
I forget to
But
turn my volume off.
yeah, yeah, I'm not smart enough to do that. But yeah, guys, this is the first show that me and Sarge has been planning this for what, a month now, a little longer.
It's been a good while, that's for sure.
Ever since we did the first wrestling show, actually, wasn't
I don't think we need to mention that
it? Well,
that rigged bracket that you had.
it was not rigged. I did that fair and square. It is not my fault. It ended up the way it did. I happen to agree with you. The outcome was not what I expected. I actually expected Ric Flair to come in number one. I expected Ric Flair to be at the top of the list, but he wasn't. Roddy Piper was, and well, you I can't really say that I was disappointed because Roddy Piper was great, but
Oh yeah, he was. I don't like the way that the WWE makes these. They kind of make them into these. I don't know. They're a different type of character than they were in other organizations. So that's kind of what ruined them for me, just a little bit.
the, that's the difference between the New York style and let's say mid South
Mm-hmm.
or Memphis or any of those areas. It was more cartoonish, I'd like to say, up the north, and that's why, as a guy who was raised up on the Atlanta scene, you had the NWA, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard. You had Nikita and Ivan and Bill Dundee and all of these guys going into Atlanta, and you know, it was more, and quotation marks, realistic. It was more real. Um, the promos that these guys done was just so amazing. You got guys like Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes could cut one of the best promos in the business,
Oh
and
yeah. And Scotsman's got a good comment here. He's got cartoons and with all a bunch of exclamation points. And I guess that's kind of what I'm saying. That the northern style was more cartoonish. You know, it was geared towards the kids, and the southern style in the Midwest was geared towards adults. You know, they
yeah,
wanted to. I mean, did you know it wasn't real? I mean, yeah, you did. And well, as a kid, you weren't quite sure, but they made you want to believe it. And they made you want to believe this is real. Well, I'm not really sure. No, they just they sold it more.
yeah. Well, it's if I've spent a lot of time on YouTube watching old wrestling matches. I mean, I cannot tell you how many hours a week I spend just watching these old matches. Um, and we're listening to the old interviews and this, that, and the other. And Ricky Morton had made a quote about Bill Dundee. And it went something like, "The next time we're in a match together, I want you to hit me as hard as you can because your working punches are killing me." you know, Ricky Morton had made a comment about Bill Dundee's punches.
Uh
He
huh.
said that his working punches, the ones that was supposed to be on for the show, were killing him. So he just wanted him to hit him as hard as he could. You know, and Bill Dundee could throw a good punch. I mean, some of the best punches in the business was guys like Bill Dundee, Ron Garvin, Arn Anderson could throw a punch. Rick Steiner could throw one of the best punches in the business.
Oh yeah.
You know, just um. And according to Bill Dundee, over where in Australia where he's from, they didn't do a whole lot of the American style punches over there. It wasn't until they started watching the American guys do this that they were, punching to the head and stuff.
Well,
So
what did they do?
uh, I guess it was all open hand, you know,
Oh, okay. Well, I
because
mean,
according to the rules of professional wrestling, you're always
yes,
supposed to use an open hand,
yes, you're not
quote
supposed to use a
unquote.
closed fist in according to the rules.
Yeah, according to the rules, quote unquote. But you know, the heel would always use the closed fist to get the heat, and then the face would retaliate with a fist, and the fans would go nuts. You know, he's cheating, he's cheating, he's cheating. Then when the face fires back, they go crazy. This is what really drew you in, especially in the early, mid, and late '80s. And to me, that was the golden age of wrestling, the
Yeah.
'80s. Um, I mean, you had so many guys out there doing, and it wasn't all the same. I mean, not everybody was doing the same match. Nowadays, you watch it and you see the same match 5 times in one show.
Exactly. Exactly. And each one less believable than the last.
Yeah, exactly. And you just, it gets annoying. And that's why I have not watched a show since probably 2002 was the last wrestling show I actually sit down and watch the whole show. There's been a few matches pop up here and there that I've been interested in, but other than that, man, even the pay-per-views, I haven't even been interested in those.
Since the Monday Night Wars ended, it's not quite been the same for me.
And before we go any further, I have to get this out there. I would like to say congratulations to Cody Rhodes.
That was that was pretty cool. I actually watched that match, the replay of it. What was it? Saturday night when I was working. I watched that, and it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. Um, to me, that was bringing the my childhood full circle right there. I watched his dad win that title on two separate occasions. I missed the first time I don't think I've ever seen the first time he won the NWA title, but I did see the second two, and I was just as a fan, I was proud to see that Cody got up there. He did his dad proud. He put on a hell of a match.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so Cody, I don't know if you'll ever watch this, but congratulations, man. Um, it was good. It was good. It was believable, and that's what gets you right there. Even knowing what we know at our age, it was a believable scenario. It was a believable match,
Oh,
and and
exactly.
and that's what we want. We want to lose reality into a wrestling match, and you accomplish that. Um, ups, the downs, great match, great match. I would have liked to have seen that whole show, and eventually I probably will because I heard that there were several very good matches on there. But time will tell. I would love to see the NWA get back mainstream the way it was in the '80s, late '70s, '80s, all the way up into what the early '90s.
They they've got a chance to do it right now. They've got their best chance they've had in years because what's the guy's name from Smashing Pumpkins that bought the NWA?
I'm not sure.
It's the singer from the Smashing Pumpkins. He bought the NWA. It was Corley Cornegay. I'll look his name up right now. So he obviously has an interest in it. He didn't leave, singing in a music career. He retired from that, and he didn't buy this just as a hunch. He did this because he likes it and he has passion for it, and he should have some finances, he should have some backing, and he should have some connections. So right now, they've got the best opportunity they ever have had to make a comeback and to form, I guess, a competitor for WWE. There's actually a chance right now.
Billy Corgan.
That's it. That's it. I didn't want to say his name wrong, but yeah, he bought it a couple years ago.
We'll see.
Or this year. I'm looking it up right now. Let's see. So right now they have the opportunity. Yeah, here he is. Acquisition by Billy Corgan. What's it say? May of 2017. So he's got the 11 pounds of gold. He's got the Golden Globe belt. He's got the name. He's got the legacy he has, and he's got, like I said, he's got financing. He's got connections. He's traveled literally around the world playing music, so he should know promoters. He should know event venues. He should know what's going on there. He obviously likes the sport. So, man, if they could combine with Ring of Honor or TNA or whatever they're going to do, they could actually create a competitor.
Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of Ring of Honor, they have already sold out Madison Square Garden. That's amazing.
When is that? Because isn't that the same night as a WWE pay-per-view?
I'm thinking so, yeah.
And I think they're like really close to each other. So
yep,
there's something up with that. Let's look that up too.
It's gonna be another Clash of the Champions versus WrestleMania.
Well, it's possible that it's like the Monday Night Wars. Where was it that they ended up years ago in the same city? Was it Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Nitro and Raw.
They were several miles down the road from each other, and then a bunch of guys from the WWE came in and tried to.
Well, it was D-Generation X.
Yeah,
it was Triple H. It was Hall and Nash, Shawn Michaels, and X-Pac.
It wasn't Hall Nash, because Hall Nash was with WCW at that point.
Oh, excuse me. That's right, because they were wanting to come see them.
Yeah. And it was the whole "let my people go" angle, or let our people go.
And they said that it almost happened. I was reading an interview that I guess it was Hall and Nash came to the parking garage where they tried to get in, and they were going to meet up and just see what happened, because they were all friends, and the security closed the garage door as they were approaching, and they really had no plan as to what was going to happen. They went and rented a Jeep. They sent a camera crew with them, and it was whatever happened. So there's no telling what could have taken place. It could have. Who knows whether they would have scripted out a battle or whether they would have broke character. I mean, who knows?
If you would have been Eric Bischoff in that situation, now I know what I would have done, because the ratings would have went through the roof on Nitro that night. If I would have been Eric Bischoff, I would have opened the doors and said, "Let them in."
Yep. See what happens.
You know what? And no matter what happened that night on that show, the next week, the ratings for WCW would have been through the roof.
Well, think about it.
Because that would have
You
completely backfired on Vince.
you could have had two camera crews, one from each side, filming how this thing went down. It would have been completely live, completely unscripted. I mean, it could have been pure gold. Could have
And
been.
what would have been even better if it wouldn't have been Hall and Nash meeting them, but let's say a Sting and a Goldberg, or a Sting and a DDP.
Oh yeah.
Or, you know, that could have went 1,000 different ways right there, and it would have been great TV. It would have been great for the ratings. I'm sure that Eric Bischoff, in hindsight, would have wished he'd have just said, "Open the doors, let them in. Let's see what happens," or "Let our boys out. Let's see what happens." And it would have been a show of force on Eric's part. It really would have,
Mm-hmm.
and it would have probably, like I said, come back and bent Vince McMahon in the ass. And I
Oh,
don't even know if Vince had any knowledge that this was going to be going on or not.
I would think he has knowledge of everything that happens.
Maybe, but you got to remember the Shawn Michaels Triple H fraction at that point. Wasn't really the Clique, because the Clique had already broken up, and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, X Pac were already in WCW.
I'm looking
It would
with.
have it would have been it would have been great, man. It would have been great. Even if it turned into a knockdown drag out brawl, it would have been freaking amazing
There's no
television.
telling.
I would have loved it. I would have absolutely loved to have seen that happen. And,
I'm
and
look.
I'm sure, like I said, in hindsight, uh, they they would have opened the doors. If they could go back and do it again, I'm sure that they would just open the doors, let them come in, and let whatever happen happen. It would have been great.
Now, not to jump back, but on the Ring of Honor, um, when we're talking about that, I went several years ago, and so it was the first event I took my boys to was Ring of Honor. They happen to have one close, and there's not been anything close to me in a while like this since WCW went out. The WWE doesn't necessarily come directly through my area as much as WCW did, but we went to a Ring of Honor event, and these boys, they'd never been to see anything like that, and they ate it up with hook, line, and sinker. They hated every bad guy. They were all in for every good guy. I mean, it was fun for me to watch them because I mean they were in. They were completely. Uh, they bought into all the characters, so it was pretty cool.
And that's the thing, making the guys believable, and they're not believable anymore. They're you it used to be you kept your heels and your bad guys and your good guys. You kept them separated. You never hang out together when you're off the show. Separate dressing rooms. They didn't hang out in the same areas. You know, it was always keep the appearance of a heel, a face, a face. A heel does not sign autographs, and if he does, he's cussing you out the whole time because you're bothering him.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and that's what always, to me, made it believable. I mean, if they're going to be an asshole on TV, they need to be an asshole off TV, just
Mm-hmm.
to keep, to keep in character. Um, the old timers like Ole Anderson would do that. He would, you know, he was on the heel side. He was a heel. Period.
Yeah,
Now, he might have been the greatest guy in the world to know, to meet, to be a friend with, but if you wasn't in on what was going on, if you were not part of the business, and you were just an average fan, you walk up, ask for an autograph, get out of my face. I ain't giving you an autograph.
that's that link I sent before the show, I need to post. Let me see if I can post that in the regular chat.
Well,
That was,
and I think
that's for, let me see if it's still up. This is called well, I'm not a moderator, so I can't post it. You can post it.
Rich White says I sound like Jim Cornette stuck in the 80s. Hey, me and Jim have a lot in common when it comes to this business. Well,
yeah, there's a documentary that's it's the unreal story of professional wrestling, and that's what it goes through. It talks about when you see these people, you're seeing the character. When you see, well, just for roll call's benefit, when you see Tom Cruise at a movie premiere, are you seeing his character for Mission Impossible? Are you seeing Jerry Maguire? No, you're seeing an actor. But like you were just saying, if you saw Ole Anderson before a match and he didn't sign a kid's autograph and whatnot, or you were seeing the character as it was depicted throughout these multiple places where they put on this production all over the U.S. That's what people don't realize about it. It's just a big storyline. It's a big show. It's very athletic people putting on this show, this timeline of events, but they're just conducting it all over the country in different little venues, and then sometimes on TV. So that's kind of what always got it for me.
Yeah, it's the way they portrayed themselves outside the ring as well as inside the ring. You know, I heard Ric Flair say many times, "If I said it on camera, I did it."
That's not wrong.
No, believe me, there's evidence to back it up. There's plenty of stories out there saying, "Hey, look, Ric Flair said he was going to go across the street and spend $5,000 on booze, and well, he went across the street, spent $5,000 on booze." You know, um, they lived the gimmick, and that's what got them over. It wasn't just something they did part time; they literally lived what they were taught, and that's what got them over. That's what made them believable.
When you saw them in the airport, they were in character.
Yeah.
You know, Flair was in his suit with his sunglasses. Tully was looking sharp. Arn was looking, he's probably wearing polo, looking like he looks. And then there was Ole, but they lived it. You're exactly 100% right.
And that's what got them over. You didn't just happen across one of these guys and see them out of character. Guys, I'd like to apologize for the dog barking in the background. I don't know what she's barking at out there. I don't know if y'all can hear it.
There's no telling. They bark what they want to bark at. I was watching an interview with Tully Blanchard, and I was looking for. That's one of the things I was doing here while we're online. I was trying to find him on. I'm trying to find a way to reach him. I would love to talk to him on this show at a point in the future, because that would just be a dream to talk to him. He's one of my favorites. But I watched an interview with him one time. He talked about coming through an airport. He was traveling from one city to the next and talked about what they did. And he said a guy looked over at him in a businessman 3-piece suit, just looked over at him, made eye contact, showed him the 4 fingers for the four horsemen, and then went on about his business. And he thought that's when he knew he'd made it. When full-grown adults and businessmen knew who he was, acknowledged it, and then just went on. It wasn't a fanboy. It wasn't a kid. They knew they made it. It was pretty interesting.
Well, so, you were talking about Tully. I tell you what would make it even better is getting Tully and Magnum TA on at the same time.
Well, he still lives around Charlotte. He still lives in that area.
Yep, he's still there. Could you imagine the stories those two could tell, even about their matches together?
Oh yeah, I mean this would be a direction I would be 100% in on, if we could set up some interviews with different people that both me and you have watched over the years, and just get a little bit of insight and actually get to talk to them would be pretty cool, and learn some background of it.
If you could pick 5 names of the guys we used to watch, which 5 would you want on the show? And I'll tell you which ones I agree with for my top 5.
Oh, okay. Right now. I talk to 5. I would want to talk to Tully Blanchard.
Okay.
Arn Anderson.
Okay.
You'd never get a hold of Ric Flair. I mean, Ric Flair would be interesting to talk to, but you'd never get a hold of him. He does too much. He's too busy still.
Oh, he said he'd never retire, and I don't think he ever will.
He won't. No, he'll stay busy just doing something. I'll tell you one I'd like to talk to, and he's still at it. I think he lives in Georgia right now. I wouldn't mind. I'd like to talk to Jimmy Valiant. That would be neat.
Man.
I think he still runs a school in Georgia. So there's 4.
Oh, I had turned my camera off. I didn't even realize I'd done it.
And Ricky Steamboat. I'd like to talk to him.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good choice. Arn Anderson, yes. Tully, yes. Ricky, definitely. Nikita Koloff. Love to talk to Nikita.
Oh yeah, because I remember when I was a kid, we went and watched wrestling one time in Nashville, and I had enough money to buy a shirt, and all the good guy shirts. Who cares? What did I come out with? Nikita Koloff shirt.
Yep. And I think my 5th would be Road Warrior Animal.
Well, yeah, my mind was kind of swirling. Yeah, I kind of forgot. I forgot. Yeah, he would be. He would be awesome to talk to.
And of course, and it'll never happen. I wish it would. I'd love to get Magnum TA on. Just
he might be attainable. I think he still lives in that area too.
He was always my guy as a kid, and I was heartbroken as a child. And I say a child, I was probably 13, 14 years old at the time.
Yeah,
I was absolutely devastated because if you remember that best of 7 series he had with Nikita wrapped the chain around his arm and clotheslined him, that Russian sickle. Magnum goes down 1, 2, 3, loses the United States heavyweight title after all the crap that he had to deal with up until that last match. And it was great because it was, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Nikita win like the first 3 and put Magnum back against the wall?
So Magnum had that was during that. Was that during the Greatest American Bash when it went up? When it was a summer series?
I think it might have been.
I think that's what it was. It was a series.
Yep. And I was absolutely devastated that Magnum had lost the United States title to a Russian. He's a Russian. He don't deserve to have the United States Heavyweight Championship. It ain't right. And I'll tell you how heartbroken I was. I actually sent a letter to the WCW office in Atlanta. I found out what the address was and wrote Magnum this letter and sent it to him. I don't know if he ever got it, but I wrote the letter and sent it to him, told him how pissed off I was, and this, that, and the other, how it wasn't right.
You wrote it, put it in an envelope, bought a stamp, put it on it, and it went. That's old school.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, it was, and that was the first and only time I've ever done anything like that, was over that match with Magnum and Nikita. And I was like, wow. I sit and I think about that now. Man, I was really buying into it back then. Because I believed it was absolutely real at that point.
Oh, yeah. But what about when he came out and he was just the quintessential bad guy? I mean, he was it. He was what every American hated. And then he came out with Dusty Rhodes as his tag team partner at the pay-per-view in the cage.
Yeah.
The superpowers.
Yep. I remember that. Well, and what brought all that on was the fact that, Magnum had the Porsche wreck. He'd wrecked the Porsche. And I guess WCW was just in shock as well, like the rest of the world. And they had to come up with a plan quickly because the plan had originally been Magnum's the guy. He's going to beat Ric Flair for the title. He's going to be the world champion. And after the Porsche wreck, they had to do something. Okay, what can we do to generate, you know, uh, excitement? What we can do to put people in seats? What happens if we put Dusty Rhodes and Nikita together? It was a brilliant idea. It was brilliant, and it worked. And it
Superpowers.
worked. Yep.
It was at the end of the Cold. It was, I guess, it may have been during the Cold War.
It was during the Cold War.
Yeah, the Cold War wasn't over. So, and then to have the American Dream and the Russian Nightmare pair up together was just mind-boggling.
Yep. That's the one thing about Cody Rhodes. Have you noticed what they're calling him now? The American Nightmare. I love that. Love that. You know, that's again, that's going back to the '80s. That's taking his dad and you know Nikita, you know, and just doing a switch, and then you know the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Hey, it works. It works. And man, again, I like to say congratulations, Cody. Man, I'm proud of you. We are all proud of you.
Oh yeah.
You keep doing what you're doing, brother, and we will keep supporting the NWA.
Well, I
never stopped.
They sold that place out, and it looked good to see a match like just with. And that's another thing I liked about NWA versus WWE. WWE, all the crowd is lit up. You know, the spotlights, the lights are on the crowd, so you see the match and the crowd. Where the NWA, the lights were focused down on the ring, and the crowd was a little bit darker. So it kind of made that the focal point on TV, and I like that. That's the way it looked the other night. I mean, you could still see the place was completely packed. You could see that, but it was the old school lights shining down on the ring. Everything else, you know, dim, and that was the focus. That's another thing I liked about
it. Ellis never apologized. What? Okay, I'm missing something here. I'll let the chat catch up here. Guys, I'm sorry. I ain't even been paying attention to what's going on YouTube. Mid Sarge got into this, and now it's just.
Oh yeah. You want to talk about people being in character? We were at the auto fair. If anybody's familiar with the Southeast, Charlotte has an auto fair every year or twice a year. It's at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it used to just take up the whole inside of the track, where it was all flea market, car show, auction, and now it's spilled over to the outside of the track as well as the inside. It's absolutely gigantic. When we were there, you know, back in the '80s, obviously prior car wreck, and we were walking through. I think my dad and his buddies were off in the flea market. I was walking up by the show cars and whatnot, and looked up, and if it wasn't none other than Magnum TA walking through with I don't know who he was with at the time, and he was dressed pretty much like he was on TV. He had on cowboy boots, jeans, and a vest, and of course, you know, his hair, you know, short up front, long in the back, but he looked just like he did on TV. I was just like, holy mackerel. And of course, he noticed that we were guys. We just said, hey, and I didn't bother him. I said, hey, and then I probably just said, hey, Magnum, and then just went on about my business. And I just thought that was the coolest thing to see him out and about in character in Charlotte.
And that's the thing. Back then, that was the way they did things. They were always in character when they were out in public.
Yep.
And that's the way. And you know, maybe I'm overlooking something, but I think if they did that now, it would work better for them. Instead of, you know, having the heels out signing autographs, having the heels walk around where everybody else is signing autographs and just raise hell.
Knock somebody's popcorn out of their hand or their drink out of their hand, and
going back to the
yeah,
you know,
would be better.
And today I don't see your good guy versus bad guy. Everybody's in a gray area in wrestling today. There are no true faces. You don't see a Ricky Steamboat out there anymore, or anybody like a Ricky Steamboat. You don't see a Ric Flair type heel. somebody who's just bad to the core.
No, no. There's two.
Oh,
I can name two that are current, and these guys kind of transcend time.
and who would that be?
Triple H,
Yeah.
even though he's semi-retired now, the greatest modern heel,
Yeah, well,
the greatest modern wrestler, and very, very, very close second is Randy Orton.
Yeah.
They're kind of old school guys that are kind of dropped into this new school wrestling. Those guys would have been great anytime at any period of time that they wrestled.
Yeah.
Randy Orton's completely underrated.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, here's the thing though. You got to think Randy Orton's dad, Cowboy Bob Orton, for those of you that don't know, was an old school heel. And he came up in the age where that was how you did things. If you were a heel, you acted like a heel, period. Unless you were, with the crowd, somewhere off in a private area where you can just be yourself, you were a heel all the time. If you were going to be the heel in front of the camera, you had to be a heel everywhere you went in everyday life. If you were out at the shopping mall, you're a heel. And that's what, like I said earlier, that's what got him over. That's what made people hate him so much. Take Jim Cornette, for instance, a guy that I have a whole load of admiration for. Jim Cornette would come out on camera and just be a douche. Everybody hated him. Well, now if 20 minutes after the show's over, you walk up to him and say, "Hey, how you doing?" He's having a great conversation with you, telling you how nice you look and this, that, and the other. You're not going to buy that he's a heel. You're not going to buy that he's the prick he acts like on TV. On the other hand, if he looks at you and says, "Get out of my face, or I'm going to shove my tennis racket up your butt," then it's then it's believable. And that was a thing. They were striving to be as believable as possible, so that nobody got the business. Nobody understood the fact that it's all put on. It's all show. And that's the issue we have now. It's not believable at all. Your heels are too nice. Your baby faces are just too nice. They're too bubbly. Yeah, look at Magnum TA. Magnum TA would never come out on television and smile. He was the quintessential good guy in NWA in the 80s before the wreck. He would never get out there and he wouldn't smile and this, that, and the other. But and he wasn't beyond doing things. You hold on a minute, Sarge. He wasn't beyond doing things like, if you hit me with a chair, I'm going to hit you with one. And that's what made him great. What? Hold on a minute. I just seen a comment that I got to address.
Oh, which one is it?
Somebody's asking you why you was slumming out on my channel. Huh? I have you know that he's not slumming at all. This is not a outlaw show, so to speak. This is a Sarge and Outlaw show. This will not always be ran on my channel. We've decided that what we're going to do is go back and forth. He can run it a couple times. I'm going to run it a couple times. That way, all the viewership don't go to one area. So, if you see it come up on Sarge's channel, it's still us. And if you see it pop up on mine, it's still me and Sarge. And I don't think we've decided how often we're actually going to be putting these shows on. But expect it. What was it we decided once a month or
probably once a month? I want to try to, because we have our other stuff that we do. I want to try to line up some interviews, because this would be fantastic instead of, two fans, as interesting as we are,
Oh yeah.
two fans just discussing this and trying to make it not seem so hokey for some of the other people that haven't grown up watching it. But imagine if you threw in a third party that did it and lived it, and we watched it, and you could hear some of their matches. I mean, that would just be fantastic. So probably once a month would be good, because I mean, if we could take a couple weeks to line somebody up, that would be pretty dang cool.
I mean, I'm good with that, man. I'm good with that. I've actually,
or maybe once a couple weeks if we do them in the afternoon like this. All time.
I have actually sent messages to guys like Robert Gibson, trying to get him on my show, my regular show. I've sent messages to Bill Dundee. I've sent messages to Magnum. And like I said, these guys are all busy. I know they're all busy. And they might have got the emails. They might not have. But, I don't give up. I'm hard-headed. So I will try again, as they say.
Look at the black cat. He's too much.
What's he saying out there now? Can I have a wrench? Oh, Mad wants a wrench. I better give Matt a wrench before he gets upset at me. Sarge, I thought I gave you a wrench. If you'll type something out there, I will make sure you get one. Instead of giving him a wrench, I just about timed him out. Which would not have been a good thing. There you go. Hold on a minute, Sarge. I've probably got more wrenches than anybody on YouTube.
Got more wrenches than viewers, but that's okay. That's okay.
Well, that's fine.
Sounds like something I do.
Yeah, everybody that I've got a wrench, notice that it don't really matter, because they know me, and they know that if somebody comes into the room and starts trolling, I'll give them hell. I don't mind trolls. I like trolls. They start running their mouth, I start running mine, and because they're not really, they can't say anything that's going to offend me ever.
I think Midnight Range is always something else.
Well, Midnight Range is always up to something.
He said he brought up a good point. He said, see if we can find some pro gun wrestlers, and that would be an interesting topic.
Well, I can think of one right off the top of my head. Steve
Stone Cold.
Yeah. Right off the top of my head, Shawn Michaels. That's number 2 right there. People don't know that about Shawn, but he's a hunter. That's apparently he spends a lot of time out in the woods.
I was watching that show with one of the guys from TNA Wrestling, where he had that fishing show where he went all over the place and fished and whatnot. He was, I forgot. I can't. Is it Matt Bourne?
Really?
I apologize if I get the name wrong. I'm trying to remember back. He had a fishing show on TV.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. That's actually probably a good angle to start at.
Yeah.
Trying to find some conservative wrestlers that are with like mindset and whatnot, just do a different job and kind of see their views on things. That'd be good too.
Yeah. I can name one person we definitely wouldn't get on here as a pro gun guy, and that would be Jim Cornette, because I love you, Jim. I love you, man. But Jim's a liberal. Jim is a liberal. He is anti-gun as you can get. He is not pro-Trump at all. He hates Trump, so that's okay. That's okay. I'd still love to have him on the show. It's okay that he's on the other side.
I'm taking my notes for who to start trying to contact.
How about Kevin Sullivan? Kevin Sullivan would be an interesting interview. Kevin Sullivan was one of those guys that, man, he would freak people out. He would freak me out with some of the crap he'd say and do.
He might be attainable.
Um,
You know,
he, he was actually part of an angle on a show not too long ago. The New Heart Foundation apparently beat the crap out of him. Yeah, supposedly beat the crap out of him. Quotation marks.
yeah, there's some big names that might, like I said, they might be able to talk to him, and they might agree to come on. And there's some that are still actively working a lot
Oh yeah, oh
behind the
yeah.
scenes.
Jerry Lawler, he still
Yeah,
goes.
yeah, he's working a lot. Like Arn Anderson, he still works for WWE. He's still really busy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying these other guys aren't, but they might have a little bit of time for some guys like us.
Speaking of Arn Anderson, who would you say your favorite opponent for Arn Anderson was in all those early Four Horsemen years?
Favorite opponent?
Who?
You said favorite opponent?
Yeah, because I loved Arn Anderson. I loved the way he worked. I loved the way he did things in the ring. And when I say, how many times did he own the TV title? Literally own the TV title in the 80s.
Yeah, he had it for a long time.
He would lose it, and then a week later he'd have it back.
Anybody want to explain to them what the TV title was? So for anybody that doesn't know.
Okay, this is how it worked in the NWO, and every organization was a bit different. You had in the National Wrestling Alliance, you have territorial championships, right? Each territory had their version of a territory champion. In Memphis, it was Jerry Lawler. He pretty much owned it there for years and years and years. He would lose it and get it right back. So then you had your other championships. You had your television championships, and these were the more nationally known titles. The TV title was if I'm not mistaken, like the second to the lowest rung, other than the light heavyweight championship, which sometimes was there and sometimes was not. But you had your TV title, which was the TV champion. He wrestled every week on TV with that title, defending it. Then you had your United States title, which would make you automatically, if you got the United States title, you were automatically in line for a shot at the World Championship. You were considered the number one contender, and then of course you had the World Championship. Now
And
the
that guy
world,
literally did travel all around.
oh yeah, he went everywhere.
Well, I want to say something about the TV championship. If you remember correctly, it was up for grabs every time the champion wrestled on TV for the first 10 minutes.
Yep.
And that was one of the angles. Sometimes the other guys would beat them in 10 and a half minutes or 11 minutes. TV time would expire and they would keep wrestling. And then he might lose, but he didn't lose the title. It was only up for grabs in the first 10 minutes of the match.
Yep.
That was one of the unique characteristics of it.
It was. I remember when Scott Hall won the television channel. Do you remember that?
No.
Scott Hall won the television title, and then like a week later, he was on TV and he takes it and he throws it in the trash. And you never seen the thing again until Jim Duggan supposedly dug it out of a trash pile somewhere and decided he was going to be the television championship. That's how it got brought back. And that was just a slap in the face, because look at the people who wore that television title. Arn Anderson wore that title. Dusty Rhodes wore that title. That was
Tully held it for years too.
Tully had it, yeah. That title was a major title. It wasn't something to just snuff at. If you had a television championship, then you were somebody in the business, because they just hand this thing out to everybody. Sort of like the United States Tag Team Championship. They just didn't throw it out to people that was, low or mid card. That they wanted top guys having these titles. Um, in retrospect, I think one of the worst decisions that was ever made was not putting a world championship on Arn Anderson.
On who? You broke up for a second.
Arn Anderson.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of guys out there that he earned the stripes, man. And I understand why they didn't, because Rick was the man and Arn was his backup. But in somewhere along the line they should have said, okay, Rick loses the title to so and so, gets hurt, takes him out of the show for a little while. Arn Anderson comes in, beats the guy, becomes world champion, loses it, even if it's only for a month. I would love to. And Tully was the same way. Tully deserved to be a world champion. Tully could go.
Tully's, the only thing that held him back was his size. He wasn't quite larger than life. He would have been a harder sell back then.
Yeah, but Tully was tougher than nails.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, Tully was one of these guys that would just go and go and go and go. The I Quit match with him and Magnum, man, that was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
That was just, and for those of you that don't know, let's go back and give you a little history. There was all these big matches that were invented in the 80s. You had, things like the War Games match and this, that, and the other. And then later on, we had Hell in a Cell, and then we had what was the Elimination Chamber in WWE. There was cage matches before the I Quit match between Tully and Magnum. But it was that match that really pushed it over the edge, because it raised the bar for a cage match so high, nobody could figure out how to beat it. It was, to me, the stepping stone for all the weird angle matches that came in its wake. You had two guys that had a history of not liking each other on TV. Then you add into the fact that Magnum married Tully's ex, in real life. So it's one of those situations where, you've got real life issues coming up in a wrestling match that's fake, with an angle that was quite controversial at the time, in a match that was supposedly never really sanctioned. And it was a brutal match. Both of these guys was cut up, bleeding. They had threw a chair in the ring. The chair got broke. They were taking the pieces of the chair and rubbing it into their heads, this, that, and the other. And you thinking, oh my God, they're going to kill each other. There's this one part of the match, and I think Tully was on top, pushing down on this spike from this broke wooden chair, and it looked like he was trying to put Magnum's eye out. And did you ever see this match, Sarge?
No.
I'm not sure if it's on YouTube, but if it is, you need to watch it.
Now it is, because, remember at the time, how did you have to watch those? You either had to have a satellite,
yep,
or a friend with a satellite, or you had to be at the actual arena,
or closed circuit.
Or closed circuit, which closed circuit was where they would play it into another arena or something like that. You went and watched it on TV.
Yep.
Then that was the only way to see those things at the time.
Yep.
And that just, I never got to see any of the pay-per-views. I saw some TV tapings and stuff, and then some house shows. I never got to go to one of the big ones like that.
But that was one of my favorite Magnum matches. I love that match. If I had to pick a top 5 matches, that would probably be number one. Was a Magnum Tully Blanchard I Quit match in the cage. It wasn't scientific. It wasn't technical. It was just a great match for what it was.
How about was it from the first Starrcade, or was it the second where they had the original Roddy Piper versus Greg Valentine in the dog collar match? That's back when I liked Roddy Piper more so. I never disliked him, so I don't want to put that out there. I always liked him, but I liked his character when he was in the South better than his cartoon character in the North. So
well, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I don't want anybody to think I dislike him, because I don't. Not at all. Like I said, but back when he was larger than life when he wrestled Greg Valentine in the dog collar match. And don't lose a tooth with that vape thing.
Yeah, well, I've already had that happen.
I told you how to fix that other one.
Yeah, I know.
You need to go do it.
I ain't worried about it. I ain't worried about it. Hell, this one here, the one beside it now.
That's what I said. You can fix that one.
I ain't worried about it. I'll jerk that son of a bitch out eventually.
You can even fix it if you had to at home. You can just go get some Polydent or something and glue it to the other one.
I got some super glue here.
No. Just glue it to the other one for about a month. It'll be all
right. See, Sarge trying to get me to go to the dentist. Them guys, evil people, evil people, just like to torture your mouth.
Well, you might want to eat an apple one day. You're not gonna be able to do it with that tooth flopping back and forth.
Yeah, actually, I ate an apple the other day, which was rather good. I like apples.
Speaking of dentists, it was two falls ago. My youngest one, his last at that in fall ball, because he aged out of fall ball locally. He fouled one off right into his mouth, broke one of his front teeth off, and it fell off onto home plate. And they went there and glued the other one. They glued them together, and he had like one tooth in the front for a few months while it firmed itself up and quit being wobbly. And then after the reconstruction, he's got a new tooth now. Looks good.
Interesting.
But they can fix it.
Oh, I know they can. I have no doubt. I just don't like going to dentists and hospitals and places like that. I try to avoid it like the plague. I used to say that I don't go to hospitals because that's where people go to die. I've never been one to go to a hospital or a dentist or anything like that unless I'm dying. I don't want to go. Period. And then I need to be knocked completely out because So Sarge, where would you like to see our little show here go in the near future?
Like I said, I would like to try to line up some guests from the industry. I mean, we can make a laundry list of people to start acquiring. You can I'll tell you another one that would be really good to acquire is and I'm caught on the spot. Who was was it Tommy Young?
Yeah, the referee. Yeah.
Now imagine the stories he could tell.
Yeah.
You know, and people like that, or some of the old school wrestlers like Tommy Rich. Like I said.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's dozens. A lot of the old ones some of them have passed on.
Yeah.
Do you know that? And this is the coolest thing. One of my former dispatchers at work, she brought in some postcards and some portraits, like where you went and had your picture taken, portraits like at Kmart and whatnot of her and Wahoo McDaniels. She dated Wahoo for years. I'm like, I mean, like I said, like portraits, not like, hey, we're at the arena, here, take a picture with me. It's like, no, they went and made an appointment, went and had times to go have them done. It was interesting.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine the stories she heard.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So it would, there's a laundry list of people that we could try to acquire, and just that would be where I want to see this go. Because I mean, we can talk about it, we can educate people. I mean, maybe we could pick some certain topics, but it would be neat to try to find some of these people and just ask them a few questions, let them tell a story, and you never know.
Oh,
find some new fans out there.
and guys, don't get us wrong. We're not just talking about the male wrestlers here. There's been a lot of female wrestlers that I would love to have these talks with, these interviews with. Medusa being one of them. I would love to get her take on what the business was like for her when she first started as a female in this business. Missy Hyatt would be another.
Oh yeah, Sunny.
Yeah, Sunny.
I think I'm gonna. Well, saying I think I'm gonna call. I'll just call up Billy Corgan and see if he wants to come talk to us about the NWA. I'll just call him up.
Yeah, you go right ahead. In fact, why don't you do that right now?
Yeah, we'll call him live on there.
Yeah, we'll say hello to him and see how well it goes. But we're two guys that have YouTube channels, and we're doing this show, and we'd like to have you on it. Well, how many subs do you have?
We could possibly reach up to 50 people. So this is well worth your time, sir.
Yeah. There you go. Well, that's what I tell my girlfriend. She asked me how my show goes, and I tell her, well, my tens of fans love me. And she says, tens of fans? And I said, yeah, tens of fans. I have, maybe 20, 25. Maybe.
That's a good size room when you think about it.
Yeah, it really is.
If 25 people were lined up right in front of you and you were talking, that's a decent crowd. So I'm very happy with that many.
I don't do this because I'm expecting, money or expecting to make money off of it or anything like that. I do this because I enjoy doing it. I love talking about guns. I love talking about wrestling. And for those of you that don't know, that's how me and Sarge got hooked up originally. We had it was an after chat for the Scotsman, wasn't it?
With what?
Wasn't it an after chat for foreign and domestic? You and I got talking about pro wrestling.
I mean, that's very likely. We got to talking about it one time, and then you sent me a message, see if I was going to be on the show for the bracket, and then you completely rigged it, broke my heart, but I took it. I took it like a champ, and then I moved on.
Like I said, I fully expected Ric Flair to come in or Ricky Steamboat. That's one of those two was who I figured was going to get there in the end, be number one in the bracket. I did not see Roddy Piper coming out number one on that.
Well, but it was the cartoonish, style that won.
Yeah, well, at least it wasn't Hogan. I don't say that to be mean, people. Just you have to remember in the 1980s when Hulk Hogan really got huge, he was up in New York in that cartoonish style that he's referring to. And it wasn't so much Hulk Hogan I didn't like. It was the product that the WWF at the time was putting out. It had very little to do with Hogan. It had more to do with Vince McMahon and the way the company was going. Not to say that there wasn't some damn good matches going on back then in the WWF. Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat put on one hell of a match. Remember that? It was WrestleMania. Man, that was a match. They went at it and for I guess almost an hour, maybe a little over an hour, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It was a good match, man. And I don't know about you, but I've always been drawn to the tag teams. I've always been drawn to the tag teams. The Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express, the Road Warriors. Love the Road Warriors. Powers of Pain.
In my high school, what is now the middle school, but it was a junior high gym in town. I saw them wrestle back in the 80s, and you want to talk about epic. Holy miracle.
You hear the first note of Iron Man, you knew somebody's about to get their ass kicked.
Yep. And you're going to witness it in real life.
Yep.
Someone could quite possibly die during this.
Yeah,
because
and
it
that's
was
what
that
you believe.
brutal.
That's what you believe. And they come out, dong. You hear that first note, and that's oh crap. And here they come walking to the ring, two guys, huge. These boys wasn't small at all. Animal was what 6'1", 6'2", 305 pounds,
But he was as wide as he was tall.
and all muscle.
Yeah,
There wasn't an inch of fat on. He had looked like he had a belly, but he didn't have a belly. That was solid muscle.
that
And
was
then Hawk
that
was
power lifter frame.
yeah, and Hawk was what an inch or two taller and 275, 276. These guys were not small dudes. They were huge. And at the time when they first showed up, they were the biggest thing in the business. Well, I won't say the biggest as in weight, but as far as just raw power and strength, I don't think there was anybody in the mid early 80s that could have compared with them. Now later on, you got teams like Doom that showed up. Skyscrapers, remember them?
Oh gosh, that was who Dan Spivey, and it was
Sid
it
Vicious.
Undertaker, pre-Undertaker,
Yep,
Mark
yep,
Mark Mark Collum, I think is his
yep,
name,
yep. There you go.
pre-Undertaker.
And then I think Mark left, and they got Sid Vicious in there.
Yeah, he's a unique individual.
Yeah, yeah. Man, I will never forget him breaking that leg in that match with Steiner. Oh man, that just gave me nightmares. That gave me nightmares watching
Just
that leg just
just
kink.
anybody that's watching, just know, just don't Google it, don't YouTube it, don't. Mm-mm,
It's
awful.
gross. It's gross. And that's the one thing I can tell you when they talk about how these guys never really get hurt. Trust me.
Oh no, they do. Go watch some interviews with these guys now, and most of their necks are fused. They all have lasting injuries from this stuff. That's why Arn Anderson retired, because of repeated neck surgeries, and he had to. The rest of the body was physically able to do it, but the neck just wouldn't hold up.
Uh, and Terry Funk is 70 some years old, and he's still doing this.
Jesus, it's amazing that guy's alive with some of the brawls and the bumps and things he's taken.
Barbed wire matches, man. Been set on fire. Just
Some of that stuff's a little bit much.
oh yeah, well I agree, but man,
Oh, Black Cat just mentioned the Steiner brothers. Well,
oh yeah, I love the Steiner brothers, Rick
the
and Scott.
one definitely is freakish, Scott, but go back and watch some YouTube videos of Rick just losing his mind sometimes. If someone did something to him, that's a guy you did not want to fool with.
No, no,
No, I mean, that dude. I mean, yeah, Scott may have been bigger. You did not want to fool with that guy. Rick was just. You can go back and watch some video like where someone did something wrong or accidentally hit him or did something crazy, and he just annihilate him. Just
yeah.
awful. Like truly out of character, annihilate him. Just
Well, you have
brutal.
to remember their background too. Rick and Scott were both college wrestlers, and I'm not.
Michigan, University of Michigan
Yeah,
wrestlers.
they were champions.
No joke.
They had
Yeah.
been doing what is the Greco-Roman wrestling for years and years and years and years and years. They knew what to do on a mat. So when they decided that they was going to pick you up and throw you around, you wasn't stopping them.
No, I guarantee you that the hand strength and the tendon strength of Rick, if he got a hold of you, you just have a hard. Well, you wouldn't be able to deal with it. It'd be a very difficult time for you.
Yeah, you wasn't getting if he got his arms around you, you wasn't getting away.
Uh-uh.
No, you were just screwed.
Uh-uh.
And you're right. I've seen those matches where somebody'd mess up and do something stupid, make a mistake, and him actually get hurt or something, and he just annihilate them.
There's one in particular where this guy gives him like a super kick, like a Shawn Michaels kick, I think, and popped him in the face. And he gets up and clotheslines that guy. And that guy cuts pretty much 2/3 of a flip. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't break his neck. It was awful. And I think he actually knocked him out during that move because he had to pick up a limp body and finish. But it was just, yeah, that dude is awful.
But you know what? I hear that they're both two of the nicest guys you could ever meet.
He's on like, I was reading about him the other day. He's on like a school board.
Yeah.
And he's a real estate salesman now. He's got a real estate office. And he's on a school board. I mean, he's settled down. I still want to make him mad. Just don't super kick him in the head, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Scott Steiner owns a Shoney's in Kennesaw, Georgia.
He owns what?
A Shoney's in Kennesaw, Georgia.
Huh.
Yeah, I've been there. And it was the only Shoney's I've ever been into that sells alcohol. They got a little bar set up in there.
In Kennesaw. I'll have to remember that next time I'm down that way.
Yeah. Stop in. They got a 24-hour buffet bar set up there. And that's what we do when we go there. We get the buffet. And it's a cool little place. Now, I've never seen him there, but he does own the place. I would love to just walk in, be standing there. You know, that'd just be cool. And that's the great thing about Atlanta. There are so many of these guys that's always in town. Because Atlanta was always a big wrestling town. And I have met guys like Ron Simmons there. Or Farouk, for those of you who are too young to know who Ron Simmons was. And if you're too young to know who Farouk is, I'm just giving away my age. Same guy, different names, because in the mid 90s he left the WCW and went to New York, and they rebranded him as Farouk. I don't know why. I have no clue why. He was a world champion of WCW. He held that title for what? 3-4 months? He held it for a while. And lost it to, I think he lost it to Vader. He won it from Vader and then lost it from Vader, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe he won it from, I know at that particular time, the belt was floating around between Barry Windham, Vader, Simmons, and somebody else. Because Flair had went to New York at that time. So,
is it the first time he went?
Yeah.
He took the belt with him?
Yep, that's it. Bobby Heenan would come out, I've got the real world champion.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't realize is he owned that belt.
Yeah, he
had it made.
As far as I know, didn't he pay to have that thing completely designed the way he wanted it?
Yeah, he owned it. He had it made. He bought it. And when he was leaving, they told him to leave the belt here. He's like, no. He said, you can pay me however much it was. And they said no. And so he took it with him because it was his property.
Yeah.
I think they bought it back after that, or made a new one, but the damage was done.
Well, if you look back to the old tapes, especially in the last several years of WCW, if you look at that big gold belt, you'll notice that the bottom of it is bent. And that's how you could always tell the original gold belt from any fake, because the bottom of the belt has a bend in it where they dropped it or hit somebody with it or something. But it's got a definite warp bend there. And I had just noticed that, I guess, a year or two ago, watching some old footage. Wait a minute, there's something wrong. That belt's broke, bent. But it certainly is. If you look at still pictures of it, you can actually tell that it's. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how it happened, but the title belt is bent. Actually, looking it up right now, see if I can't come across some images of it. There's the. That's a replica. That's not the original. I always tell the original. That might be it right there.
I think I found the match I was talking about. I'm gonna put a link up here in just a second. Provided I got a wrench. I'll see if this is the one. You guys can watch this. Rick Steiner going crazy. I know this is it.
No, I was wrong. It wasn't the bottom. It was the top of the title that's bent. So it's definitely got a bend to it.
Hold on one second. Did you have a picture of it? I was trying to find that link. Are you sharing it?
Not yet. I'm looking for a clearer picture. The only two I've found so far is one with Hogan holding it with the NWO. Let's see. I can share this. Well, I can't. Won't let me. Will not let me copy that for some reason. That's weird.
No, I put that link up there if anybody wants to watch it. I can't get it to play on mine right now for some reason.
Well, I gave you a wrench, so you should be able to post anything you need up
No,
there.
I posted it, but I can't get it to play. Man. I don't know whether my YouTube locked up or what. This video won't play.
Oh, there it is. But well, Sarge, we've been going a little over an hour, buddy. I think we can call it quits.
Yeah, we can start getting some things lined up.
Yep. And ladies and gentlemen, like we said, this is going to be a monthly or bi-weekly or something, or maybe just whenever we can get together to do it type deal. We're going to try to line up some guests in the future. Like I said, I have reached out to several people that I would be interested in having on the show, including Bill Dundee, and I've actually got a reply from Bill a few weeks back saying, "Sure, we just need to work out a time frame to get this done." That would be a great interview. Think about the stories he could tell about Jerry Lawler.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, and not just Jerry Lawler, but man, Rick Rude, because they all hung around together in the Mid South or Memphis. But yeah, we're going to try to work out some guests. Maybe get some others in here from time to time. I know the Yankee Marshall is way into professional wrestling. I didn't get him on the show at some point to do some discussions about it if he would be interested in doing that.
Oh yeah, I would like to debate him anyway, so I'm all in on that.
Yeah. Get Yankee in here and let him spout out whatever it is he's got going on. His opinions on things. I bet Yankee's a Greg Valentine fan.
You think?
Yeah.
I think as controversial as he is, he would probably definitely identify as a heel.
Yeah, definitely. That's I don't see him as the Rick Rude type.
Now Rick Rude was something else.
He was the quintessential heel there for the longest time.
And they said that was another one that no one fooled with.
You didn't want to miss Rick Rude. He was a world champion arm wrestler as well as a professional wrestler.
Was it they said? Well, it was him. That story that's told, that's passed around when you watch some of these interviews with him and I guess the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Did something and made him mad, and he like pretty much whipped the heck out of the Ultimate Warrior in the dressing room, like straight up whooped him.
Yeah.
And that guy was a maniac looking. So how tough was Rude if he beat that guy? So
there's a lot of them had tempers, and you just didn't want to mess with. Ming for one, bit a guy's nose off. So could you imagine? I've heard stories where they've said that it took 5 or 6 cops to drag him off of one person. You know, and he's just mean. What was it over in Japan where Arn Anderson? I think it was in Japan where Arn Anderson stabbed Sid Vicious.
No. It was the opposite. Sid stabbed him.
I thought it was Arn that stabbed Sid.
I don't think so.
We'll have to do some research on that one. I'm pretty sure it was Arn that was doing the stabbing. Let me look that up real quick.
So
That's
I thought Sid was acting up, and Arn went up to tell him to settle down, and a fight ensued, and Sid ended up stabbing him. I thought.
Let's see. Sid Vicious on Arn Anderson stabbing incident. Harley Race on Sid Vicious stabbing Arn Anderson incident. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe you were right. Sid Vicious on Arn Anderson stabbing. Well, there's several. Apparently, that's maybe they were both stabbed. A crazy scissor fight, 1993, October. Let's see what it says here. A few beers. Of course, there's alcohol involved. Why wouldn't there be alcohol involved?
Because I think they were all going somewhere on a bus. And things went down. I think Sid was like, he was being absolutely awful to someone, and Arn went up and told him to settle down and knock it off, and it went south from there.
Okay, here it is. Few beers were thrown after Anderson overheard Sid Vicious insulting his friend Ric Flair. Calmer heads prevailed. Both men returned to their hotel rooms. After stewing over the events of the past few minutes, Sid decided to go back to Arn Anderson's room to settle the argument. This is when he allegedly hit Arn Anderson over the head with a hotel chair leg. When Arn Anderson opened the door, apparently, Sid Vicious and Arn Anderson ended up spilling to the hallway where a vicious, bloody assault ensued involving a pair of scissors. The result was not pretty. And then, of course, it goes through who was happening, who else was witnessing to this. Arn asked the question, what's wrong with our business? Why aren't we drawing? It actually doesn't say who started the whole stabbing thing, but there are enough videos and stuff like that online where you can figure out these answers on YouTube. There's enough interviews about it. But that brings up something else that I wanted to mention. Do you remember when Big Van Vader got his eyeball knocked out in the match?
No.
Yeah. I can't remember who he was wrestling. It might have been Brody. But apparently it was Stan Hansen. It was Stan Hansen. Him and Stan was in Japan wrestling, and Stan hit him in the face and knocked his eyeball out. And he popped it back in.
Oh, so broke his orbital or something then?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
My gosh. Hey.
And he took the eye and pushed it back in his head and finished the match.
If you guys want to see something interesting, Google Stan Hansen and Lariat and wonder how those people survived.
Yeah. These guys are brutal.
Just watch it and just wonder how those people survived.
Yeah. It takes some of the whole wrestling's fake thing and makes you really think about it.
That'll be a topic for another day.
Yep. Anyway, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Sarge, you got anything to plug?
1,000 sub giveaway video still going on. Let me see. I'll post the
I
link
gotta
real
make a
quick.
video.
Yeah. You got to do a video response. We got to enter. You got to follow it on YouTube, on Instagram. But I don't care. As long as you comment, you're in. That's all you got to do is comment. Everything after that's bonus, because you just comment on the video, you get one entry. But if you follow the Instagram page, post a couple things with the hashtag, or do a video response, you can get up to a total of 9 entries. We're giving away shirts, hats, that book right there. And then, of course, it looks like the C4 Defense Snuggie is way out in the lead as far as the bonus prize to the first place winner.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I happen to win this, and I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch, but if I happen to win this, you can keep the Snuggie.
Well, good. I'll wear it.
You can keep the Snuggie.
We'll get you an As Seen on TV item then if you win.
Okay, that'll work.
But everybody else, it's a resound. It is way out in the lead, the C4 Defense Snuggie.
No, I'm sure.
I'll have one of those made. You guys got to give me some lead time, though, if you win and you want the Snuggie. I got to order it in the right size, and I got to get it embroidered, and then I got to ship it to you. So you're gonna have to wait just a little while. It'll take a minute for that stuff to happen. But anyway, I appreciate the invite, and
this is your show too, brother.
What am I talking about? Invite. I'm sorry. Yeah. I appreciate people watching, and I appreciate you coming up with this idea. This is a different outlet for me to talk about something other than. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm extremely passionate about the guns and the Second Amendment and good, honest, law-abiding people carrying to protect themselves. That's why I do this. But it's also fun to talk about something else, and this is something I grew up watching, and this could really lead into some fun times. I hope people enjoy it and are entertained by it. But if we could ever interview any of these people on this list, that would be just a childhood dream come true for me. So once you act me like I will be so happy if you get to watch one of these interviews, whether anybody else likes it or not. I will be thrilled getting to do it. So I'm
exactly
super excited about this.
Exactly. So before I let you go, whose name's on the list? Let's hear the list.
As far as who we want to interview,
yeah.
I mean, this list is just starting. I mean, any of the Four Horsemen, any and all that are worth mentioning. You know, of course, obviously not Chris Benoit, and not who was the football player that was in there for a little while.
Steve
Not that guy. Not that guy, but the good ones. Tully, Arn, Ole, he's still around. Barry Windham would be great. Magnum TA would be good. Ricky Steamboat would be really good.
Oh, yeah.
Who else? Tommy Young, the referee.
Yeah.
Any of the old school guys. Tony Schiavone would be a really good one. He's he's a minor league color commentator now. I was reading about him. He would be a good one because he got into it when he was really young. He was in it for a long time, and he still wasn't old yet. And he spent a lot of his youth growing up around this stuff. I mean, there's Kevin Sullivan. I didn't think of him right off the bat because his experience was, he spent a lot of time down in Florida, where all the craziness happens, and all up and down the East Coast and around the world. He could be a very, very interesting interview. Red Warrior Animal. I mean, Jimmy Valiant. There's a long list of.
Oh yeah, there's so many.
Jerry Lawler, Bill Denby. I mean, there's a laundry list of people.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting to interview if they would take the time and take the time out of their schedule to sit down with us for an hour or two. Would be fantastic.
Robert Gibson. Either one of those.
But the Midnight Express, Jim Cornette, Bobby Eaton. These other two, because he had two different partners at different points.
Yeah.
Was it Stan Lane?
Stan Lane and Dennis Condrey.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yep.
Is Stan Hansen still around? Is she still?
I'm not sure.
She's still kicking. He would be an interesting one.
Yeah.
There's Terry a lot of guys that would be fun to talk
to. Funk.
Yeah, there would be a lot that would be fun to talk to.
Chris Von Erich.
Is he the only one left?
So yeah.
That family was just cursed. That's all you could say. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, anyway, guys, let me tell you what I got going on tonight. I've got my normal show coming up at 11 o'clock tonight. Sarge is going to be back with us then. And I think we're going to be discussing what to do when the police come after a shooting, how to handle these situations. For those of you that don't know, Sarge is a deputy sheriff. He's had years of experience dealing with this sort of thing, so we are going to get his expert advice on what to do, what not to do, how to handle the situation. Maybe get rid of some myths that's out there surrounding it, and get into some hard truths about what you can expect. And
Mm-hmm.
Sarge, we appreciate you for giving us your time like that.
And that's no problem. And the reason this topic even came up is because some of these commercials just irritate me for this concealed carry insurance. While I completely agree with the concealed carry insurance, I don't agree with some of the doom and gloom they preach. So maybe we can have a good discussion and maybe clear the air just a little bit. I mean, of course, you got to protect yourself. You do. You have to protect your rights, and I'm not saying don't do that, but it's not as doom and gloom as they make it out in some of these commercials. And that's kind of what I want to talk about.
And what brought that all on is the fact that today I received this in the mail from the USCCA. I don't know how many y'all can read that, and I'm sure it's backwards, upside down, both.
That's right on our side.
Okay. Well, it's from the USCCA, my carry insurance. Um, I made the conscious decision that once I got my concealed carry license, one of the first things I was going to do is get the insurance to cover myself, just in case something does happen. Um, I can't afford to pay thousands upon thousands of dollars for a lawyer. And they let me choose the lawyer that I want to use. So, and that's something. They'll also go a bond if I need one, and this, that, and the other. So, guys, it's something to really think about. It's better to, it's like carrying a gun. It's better to have it and not need it and not have it.
Uh-huh.
And that's the way you need to look at this insurance thing. I'm paying $22 a month. I'm not a bit ashamed to tell you how much I'm spending on it. It's worth every penny. And if I ever have to use it, it'll be doubly worth it. I
Oh
hope to
yeah,
God I never do. I hope to God I never have to even make the
that's the
phone
goal.
call.
That's the goal, is to never need it. Never
Yeah.
need it to use the gun or the insurance. But we
But
don't plan for the best case scenario. We plan for the worst. Hope for the best.
exactly. Anyway, guys, we're out of here. We will talk to you later. Thank you all for showing up, and God bless.